If you came across this video and you're watching today, you're probably very similar to the men and maybe even humans in general that are secretly hiding something inside of them that they're yearning for. And if you stick around today to the end of this video, you're going to know exactly what I'm talking about, and you're probably going to relate to it to some extent. I came across this article the other day, and it talked about how men are tired of performing and trying to win the room. That's nothing new. That's a lifelong earthly thing that we've created is this concept of winning over the room. It's essentially what society is. You look at all of it from adolescence up to as a middle schooler, high schooler, into college, and definitely into adulthood. And one thing that I've been noticing is this pattern has been alive for, I don't know, 100 years, over 100 years. The comparisons, the needing to prove yourself to get X salary, to keep chasing after the thing that once people get it, they realize, I got it, what's next? We all truly just need to get back to ourselves, which I talk about a lot, because when we get back to ourselves, then the whole world starts to work for us. And most of the time, especially men, we've always been traditionally the breadwinners. That's changing because the world is just changing. But I think men have always felt this need to prove that they were worthy, that they could take care of their families, that they could get the nice things and prove to whoever it is in their life, friends, acquaintances, or whatever, but that they are high status. And unfortunately, that's created something inside of society that is very, very toxic. The thing is, men don't really realize that all anybody wants from them, or any woman wants from them, is for them to be authentic. And actually, it's quite as simple as getting back to loving themselves, being disciplined within themselves. When we are outside of ourselves, our energy gets low. We start to get sick. We start to get way, way, way outside of ourselves. We might be successful. We might make money. We might get the nice things, but it's never enough. And we're always trying to prove ourselves when we don't really, truly need to prove ourselves. Really, all we need to do is get back to creation, doing what's passionate for us and for ourselves. And that uniqueness, it's quite simple, is going to attract everybody into our lives that we need to have a fulfilling life. And that's the only way you are going to be happy. Yes, money can temporarily make you happy. Things can temporarily make you happy. However, if you attach to these things, what's missing a lot, and what a lot of men are holding in right now, is that they just want community with other men that are real and authentic, and that they don't have to try to prove the room and win the room over. That's all this society has been about since the beginning of time. I would say 90% of men are in their careers, and they're just trying to get up the next ladder to make somebody else happy. That's no way to live life, really, truthfully. And then when they chase after those things, they get away from spending time with their families, spending time with their kids. Maybe there's some resentments that build up inside the home, and then there's infidelity, and it's just this energy that keeps getting away from yourself. Like, we're supposed to be right here, and our energy is supposed to be radiant. And when we go out and do these things, it makes us sick because our nervous systems gets all haywired. It's not making us happy. We're abandoning ourselves. It's not actually what we want. Men are looking for community of other men who are authentic and want to build and create based on what's internally really passionate and purposeful for them. If you feel the same way, please leave a comment below. and how that comes to life for you and the presence. You look at it at any given environment you go to. I don't go to church myself, but I've been to church, and one thing I always see is families. It always looks like they're always trying to keep up with the Joneses. Everybody looks like they're going to get pictures taken, professional pictures taken every single weekend. In the workplace, you got people not sticking to who they are internally. They don't say that, but they're somebody else, and then the time they get home, they're exhausted because they've been a different person the whole day. They're being a different person than they actually are the whole day, and that's if they're in a career that they're really not passionate about, really, truthfully, and giving back. I think everybody wants to feel free financially. It doesn't mean that you have to have millions and millions of dollars. It just means you get to be able to afford the way of life you want and be happy while doing it and doing the things that you like. So, going back to the article I read, the man talked about starting a community and allowing for men to just come, and some of them were successful, some of them by means of financially, and some of them weren't, but they were emotionally wealthy. They were internally wealthy because of the life they had and the purpose that they were driving home, and being able to connect with people and community of men, and be able to talk about some of these things that are harder. Maybe marriage is hard, maybe relationships hard, jobs hard. They're having a tough time at work, and they don't want to make certain decisions that might lead to some sadness if they continue down the track that they're going, and that could create illness and all this stuff. It's funny, I was at a kind of like a coffee shop the other weekend, and I saw this guy walk in, and he kind of looked, his energy was just like depleted, and I said, "Hey man, what are you doing here today?" And he said, "Yeah," he's like, my wife's got my 2 kids, and I just needed to get away. I'm really exhausted. My job's not so great. I'm an engineer. I really don't want to make decisions that I don't have to. And I'm afraid that that's going to happen because I don't feel, I'm starting to really not feel good. I sat there and talked with him for about an hour and a half, and he told me his whole story, and we both told each other our stories. I wanted to take a brief pause on this video to go ahead and thank you so much for watching. Also, if you're anything like me, you've always had a tough time of really tracking your habits. And so what I went ahead and did was I created what's called the Rebuild Tracker. And what this does is it helps you understand what healthy habits you are actually following, and then maybe some of the more, I guess, negative habits that you're following, how often you're doing those. So you can take these and track them, and then you can compare them from month to month to see how you're improving. You can go ahead and add in habits. You can take habits out as you start to get in a routine with them. And then essentially what this will do is help you to level up and help you become the person that you are wanting to be. There's reflection sections. It's a fillable PDF, so you don't have to print it out. You can if you want, but I make it easy so that you can go ahead and save it on your computer, and then you can track it as you log into your computer or as you use as you'd like. So thank you again for watching this video. I will leave the link to the Rebuild Tracker below. It is free. You can go in there. Just make sure you fill out when you go to the website for the link. You fill out $0 and then click I want this, and then that should move you through. It's just great connecting with other men like that. And the thing that we don't realize as men is that women are so good at doing this. They've been building community their whole lives. Because women, if you have good women in your life, that they do a lot, and they need support. And I think a lot of them haven't been seen in society for a long time. And I think this is a time for us to step up as men. And I have the gifts and ability to help you see some of the gaps in your life and get towards a really positive and healthy and joyful life. Not only emotionally, mentally, spiritually, but physically. Like, I went through illness, a deep illness that really helped me grow and start to unravel and discover some of these things to become even more aligned and more centered in myself. And I think, well, I don't think, but I know that essentially when you start to do this work, I know a lot of you out there are like, what do I do? Like, my marriage is failing. I need a marriage coach or relationship coach. There's some good ones out there, but majority of them give you the wrong answers. It really is within yourself, getting back to loving yourself fully. That's what it is. Because if you can't love yourself fully, and if you're listening to this, if you're not doing that. Because whenever maybe you're like always the peacemaker or always trying to do things for others, but you don't really look at yourself and say, hey, what can I do to take care of myself? That there's a piece missing and you're not feeling good. And that is a skill that you need to learn, because if you don't want to continue down the wrong path and create patterns that are going to continue to make you sick or unhappy or depressed or anxious, then you really need to hone in on those things and figure out what some good habits are, and figure out where you're at, where those gaps are inside of you, where those subconscious shameful patterns are inside of you, so that you can get back to loving yourself and have compassion for yourself. And I will tell you that, you don't need a relationship coach or a certain niche coach, because really it all comes down to loving yourself at the end of the day. And that is the support you need. It does, if you really focus and hone in on that, you can get back to yourself in 6 months to a year if you really, really are committed, and you can find a way to take one step at a time, create good habits, take away the bad habits that aren't allowing you to grow internally. And when you start to do this, you're going to be more connected to yourself, to your kids, to your wife, to your family, really to people at work. And if you don't, enjoy your work and you're not passionate about it, these things are going to start rolling, and you're going to be like, man, what am I doing? I've been wasting so much time, which it's not wasting. It's just you're learning. But you might be like, man, I need to get into a different career. I need to start something new. I need to start doing what's passionate for me, so I can create and be a more positive person and really, really enjoy the life that I have. So I really encourage you, to be a part of community. And that's actually what I'm creating here, is I really want men to be able to feel like they have somebody, like a team to go to and talk to when they're having tough times, and not feel like you have to perform for a room or be anything or anything or anyone other than who you are internally, and be able to kind of just talk about the gunk, man, the mud, the nasty stuff, but also, start talking about the things that you love. And some of these men that are gonna continue to be a part of this community as it grows, they're gonna be able to look at you and say, man, you're so good at this. I see this in you. And you might be like, yeah, shoot, that's exactly what it is. And that's cool that somebody else sees me. So maybe I need to start doing that, or start thinking about things from that perspective, and what I'm doing with my day-to-day. Maybe you can start a side project. That's kind of how this started for me, is, corporate world. And I got sick and in relationships, and I got sick with mold, it ruptured my Achilles. All this happened at the same time. And it really made me dig deep, and it got me back to my core and my purpose. And the messages were always there. They always are. And you just got to remember. You got to remember what they are, and you got to get back to them.